told your friend you're not okay.
On a night unlike any other, the world held its breath. The long-held hopes, the longings never expressed, and the silent prayers of millions of fans finally found their answers. That night wasn't just a passing of time, it was the moment when the dreams of millions came true. BTS's return with their long-awaited album, ARIRANG. And behind the frenetic stage, the broken records, and the enthusiasm flooding across music platforms, there was one figure who quietly stole the spotlight and shook the hearts of everyone who witnessed it: Jungkook. The 20th wasn't just a number on a calendar. It was the dividing line between waiting and beginning. After 3 years and 9 months, which for some felt like a new life, BTS had finally returned to the global stage. As ARIRANG's songs began to be streamed around the world, something was different. Jungkook didn't just sound more mature, his vocals carried an indescribable depth, as if he was spilling the stories he'd been holding back for nearly 4 years. In just a matter of hours, Spotify had made history. ARIRANG became the most streamed K-pop album in the platform's history, as well as the album with the highest daily streams of 2026. Behind those roaring numbers, Jungkook's voice was the undeniable driving force. Gentle yet solid, emotional yet steady, like a light guiding everyone back home. But it all reached its peak the next day, on the 21st. Gwanghwamun Square transformed into a sea of people. Thousands of UMY gathered, carrying the longing and love they'd held for so long. And amidst that surging crowd, under the spotlights that cut through the darkness of the Seoul night, Jungkook stood. As the stage lights dimmed and the opening music boomed, the hearts of thousands of people beat faster. As soon as Jungkook appeared, the cheers that erupted were so powerful they felt like the sky was cracking. It wasn't just a welcome, it was the emotional outburst of someone finally returning home after a long journey. What Jungkook did that night wasn't just singing. He was opening the door to his life story and letting everyone in. Every step he took felt like a fragment of a memory. Every glance carried a message beyond words, and every note of his voice embraced the audience with genuine warmth. It felt like he wanted to say that he missed this moment as much as the fans. There was a different aura emanating from him. Jungkook seemed more mature, calmer, but still possessed an energy that could ignite an entire city in an instant. When he sang the chorus of one of ARIRANG's title tracks, many in the audience couldn't hold back tears. Jungkook's voice that night was clear, emotional, and filled with gratitude. It was as if his entire journey, the joys and sorrows, were encapsulated in a single breath. Between his searing performance, RM expressed his gratitude. He spoke of how precious it was to be able to perform again as a full 7-piece, standing before the fans in such a meaningful place. But when the camera focused on Jungkook, his expression was profound, almost melancholic, like someone retracing every step that led him to this point, from his trainee days to the powerful figure watched by millions. As RM thanked the police, firefighters, government officials, and everyone who helped make the event a success, Jungkook kept his gaze focused on the crowd. He had a gaze that didn't want to miss a single face, a single moment. Then he smiled, a simple smile, but one that held so much meaning. A smile that seemed to say, "I'm back. We're back." Soon afterward, Jungkook had everyone transfixed. In the middle of one song, he paused, looked out at the audience, and took a deep breath. That small moment felt so honest, so human. There was no choreography, no script, just Jungkook being completely present, feeling the waves of emotion that were crashing through him. Many believe that moment was the essence of the entire performance, where he revealed his deepest self. As RM apologized to the locals for any inconvenience he might have caused, Jungkook bowed in a respectful gesture, not as a formality, but as a sincere thank you from someone who knows the importance of everyone's support. It was as if he wanted to ensure that everyone involved felt appreciated. Many thought things would slowly subside, but in reality, the warmth and frenzy of emotion created at Gwanghwamun were just beginning a new wave that would sweep the globe. As dawn broke over Seoul, it seemed as if the entire city was still reverberating with the echoes of the previous night's cheers. Echoes that carried Jungkook's name among their notes. That morning, the streets surrounding the venue were still filled with the footsteps of armies reluctant to leave. Some sat reminiscing about the moments they had just witnessed, while others shed tears of emotion every time they replayed the widely circulated video of Jungkook's performance. Within hours, the clip had become one of the most shared videos on social media. Hashtags about BTS's comeback filled the global trends, but one name kept coming up: Jungkook. In another corner of the city, the crew and staff involved in last night's event were still working on setting up the stage. However, they couldn't escape the same conversation. Many of them admitted that that night felt different, not just because of the massive crowd, but because of the aura that radiated from Jungkook and the rest of BTS. There was an inexplicable energy, as if they weren't just performing, but truly connecting with their fans. And as the sun began to rise higher, news from around the world began pouring in. International media outlets covered Jungkook's iconic moments, from his emotional vocals to the small smiles he flashed mid-song. Many music critics considered this comeback not only a major milestone for BTS, but also a redefinition of Jungkook as an artist. They called his performance more intimate than any stage he's ever set foot on, and a testament to how time can be the most powerful teacher. Meanwhile, on streaming platforms, ARIRANG's songs continued to dominate. Global charts climbed almost non-stop, like a line that climbed endlessly. Every hour, listeners increased by hundreds of thousands, creating a phenomenon that even industry analysts struggled to comprehend. And among the dozens of songs filling the charts, Jungkook's vocals took center stage. Many new listeners were beginning to learn more about his career, and they were surprised to discover how long and arduous his path had been to reach this point. But beneath all the hustle and bustle, all the numbers, and all the spotlight, one thing was clear: Jungkook himself still hadn't fully recovered from last night's emotional moment. A few hours after the event, a candid photo of Jungkook went viral. He was sitting backstage, holding a water bottle, and staring blankly at the floor. It wasn't a tired look, nor was it a blank stare, but rather the look of someone trying to come to terms with the fact that they had just achieved something truly profound, something perhaps even greater than themselves. Many interpreted the photo as a symbol of Jungkook truly soaking up every second of the experience. Meanwhile, RM posted a short message to their community platform, writing that the night wasn't just a comeback, but a homecoming. "It wasn't just us coming back to you," he wrote, "but you also came back to us." Jungkook then hit the like button on the post, and with that one simple action, ARMY were touched again. Shortly afterward, a behind-the-scenes video was released. In one clip, Jungkook is seen standing on an empty stage after the show, the lights dimmed, and the atmosphere completely silent. He stares at the empty seats, as if still hearing the echoes of cheers lingering in his ears. Then he smiles softly before walking off the stage, a smile that prompted thousands of tearful comments online. And that was the beginning of everything. This comeback wasn't the end, but the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter in which Jungkook was no longer just a young star bursting with potential, but a fully mature artist, ready to step into the next phase with a confidence sculpted by time and experience. Because what happened at Gwanghwamun wasn't just a performance. It was a declaration. A declaration that BTS was back, that they were stronger than ever, and that Jungkook, with all his sincerity, had become the emotional center that united everyone that night. And the world had just witnessed the beginning of a new era.
To watch your blue eyes fade to gray.